Diaz.
And I'm David Osmond, bringing up the rear here.
Okay, we just got done with the show. It was a fun kind of Halloween themed show.
Oh, we loved it. Every time there's a holiday themed show, I'm here for it. It doesn't matter if it's Halloween, if it's 4th of July, if it's Christmas. I want all the holidays all the time.
Tax Day. Tax Day is my favorite.
Especially
David loves Tax Day.
And Arbor
Every
Day.
quarter.
Tax Day and Arbor Day, all of the things.
Columbus Day. He's here for it. Okay,
What's the line? In case I didn't miss anything, happy new 4th of St. Patrick and a Merry Christmastime. I forget what it is. All the holidays pushed together.
That's good.
My birthday was not mentioned in that,
Right.
David.
Oh, Merry Christmastime. A happy new 4th of St. Patrick and a birthday to Elora.
Okay, wait. It is your birthday month.
Yeah, the 14th.
Happy early birthday.
Wow.
Now, you never, ever
Thank
ask a
you.
lady her age. You never do. So,
No,
so how much do you weigh?
Go ahead and answer that.
When it comes to guessing people's ages, it's already an awkward thing if someone comes up to you and is like, hey, how old do you think I am? I always guess lower because they are looking for an answer. And why are you asking me? I don't know.
Or just make it awkward, like 87. You look terrible.
The Botox is doing great for you.
Be as sarcastic. Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Same rule applies to pregnant women. I do not bring it up, period.
No,
Even if
you
they're
just-
talking about their 3rd trimester, I'm not saying
That
anything.
should just be a given.
That should
You
just be
don't
a rule
ask.
of thumb. Never, ever, anyone out there listening, I am just calling this as it is. Please, it is not your business to ask a woman when she's due, if she's pregnant, when, none of that.
Yeah.
Let's not do it.
And birthdays, you know how old you are. But you do have that birthday coming up. You excited about it?
I do. I mean, honestly, this year is a little hard for me. The age I'm turning, I'm having a little bit of a quarter life crisis.
Okay.
Over here, which kind of brings us to what we're talking about today, getting older. There are some things that I love about getting older, and there are some things, I'm going to be honest with you, I just don't. But I think it's a privilege to be getting older. It is. It's a privilege, but there are some things, like I said, I don't love it. I don't particularly love that the music I listened to when I was younger is now considered classic rock. When did Blink-182 start to be considered classic rock? I don't know when that happened.
And the 80s are coming back full circle. Like everyone's just, the kids are loving the 80s.
I'm here for it. I love the 80s.
Yeah.
The 80s I'm here for. It's just, and honestly, I'm going to be real honest with you. This is, Elora being so frank. What I don't love is like how my skin is changing as I'm getting older. I get Botox. I don't care if people know.
Same girl. Same.
I get Botox. I love it.
You know
Own it.
what? Thank goodness
it.
for Botox, honestly. I just have to say that right now.
On the same topic, it's so crazy to me as we watch celebrities get older. And celebrities are like,
to age gracefully,
yeah,
right?
Celebrities are like, no, I don't get Botox. I don't do any of that. And it's like, why are you lying?
You can see it, right?
You can see it.
If you know, you know.
You can see it.
And, I mean, there's those that are just blatantly obvious, but if you see the signs,
You can
okay,
see it.
all right. Come on. Come on,
You
dude.
know who
Come on.
I have to say is aging gracefully, and she goes in public without makeup, and she was just at Paris Fashion Week, is Pamela Anderson. Have you
I
guys
was gonna
seen her
say-
lately?
No, I have
I
not.
was going to say Helen Mirren.
Or her. She looks beautiful too.
Or Dame Judi Dench.
Sure.
Or I'm thinking of her name. Now I've forgotten it. Maggie Smith.
Sure.
Those women, that is aging gracefully.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I really like the no makeup thing with Pamela Anderson because, of course, she's known as like this bombshell babe, right? With like a ton of makeup from the 90s. But she looks beautiful. I don't even think she has an ounce of makeup on at Paris Fashion Week, and she is just stunning. So I think we can. Do you think we could do that one day, Laura?
I would
That's refreshing, actually.
It is. Yeah, it's really cool.
To be honest with you, when I'm not on the show, I don't have makeup on. Ever.
Yeah, weekends I usually don't either.
Just
That's true.
to give my skin a break. And it's not the fact that I'm like, man, my skin is just glowing. Because it is not that at all. I need to be clear on that. I need to just give my skin a break. And then sometimes it's also a confidence thing to be like, hey, you don't have to put this on.
You don't need it.
You just look different with makeup. Mm-hmm. So it's okay. Just take a step back from it. And I think that is one of the things as I got older is thinking that I needed to wear it. I'm like, oh, I'm older now. I have to wear this.
Yeah. And it's also okay to wear it. I love makeup. I love like the different trends, the new products that come out, and it's so much fun to me. So it's okay if you love wearing it. It's okay if you don't.
Yeah.
Either way. I have a question for you.
It's pretty obvious when I'm wearing makeup. I mean, I have my Egyptian eye.
Do you need your makeup wipes to take off your makeup right now after the show?
The fact that you called it that and not a cat eye.
What did you call it?
I call it an Egyptian eye.
It is no. It is
King Tut over here.
It is.
Valerie would be rolling her eyes. His wife is a makeup artist. That is amazing.
It would be a cat eye.
Yeah,
well,
okay.
To be fair,
well, I'm allergic to cats, so no thanks.
He did play Joseph in Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Maybe that's where I got it. Yes, I did have my what would they call it? The mascara, but it's the menscara, or what do they call it when you put the guy liner on?
Oh, guy liner.
Guy liner.
Yeah, I like guy liner. Okay, my question was, are you happier now, the age you are, than you were in your 20s?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
High five, David.
Yeah, you owe me a candy bar.
Me too. Yeah, 20s were fun for certain reasons.
Why?
You know, I feel more confident. I feel more grounded. I feel like I have a better idea of who I am, of what I want to be doing, and I'm just a lot more calm, I think, and you know, as I've gotten older. What about you guys?
Honestly, in my 20s, the 20s, I mean, it's fun because, you know, you're young, and if you sleep a certain way, it doesn't hurt when you wake up.
There's a lot to be desired of that age,
You can eat a lunch of Funyuns and a Three Musketeer bar and be okay, but I feel like exactly like you said, Kari, I'm still working on it. I work on it every day, being confident in myself and who I am, but I feel like when I got into my 30s, I was a little more accepting of that. Mm-hmm. I've been a little more open to my quirks, because when I was in my 20s and even into my early 30s, I really hated the fact that I am as sensitive as I am. I'm a very sensitive soul. I don't know if you know a lot about it. I've been typed with hypersensitivity. And that with my anxiety, I always just hated. I just cared, and I still do. I just cared so much about everything. And in my 20s, I was embarrassed by it. It was very much, oh, why do I care so much? Why am I so quirky? Why am I so different? And it took till I got to my 30s when I was confident to see a therapist and do things like that to really be comfortable in who I am. And these things that I considered, you know, hindrances are actually superpowers. And that didn't happen until my 30s.
Well, so I think thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. And we need more people like you in this world that are so caring and loving, you know?
Oh, thank you. It's, I used to care about even the tiniest things, and I hated it. And like I said, I finally, those 30s, I was like, you know, I don't want to be my worst enemy. Let's turn what I don't like and just turn it around. Mm-hmm. But it took, like I said, when I was in my 20s, I was so like, oh, I'm scared to see a therapist. And in my 30s, I was like, no, we're doing this thing.
Hey, therapy's great.
Yeah,
I go
we're
weekly.
doing this thing. We're doing this thing. So it took me a while to be more comfortable in my skin. But the 30s, even though my skin has changed a lot.
You look amazing, darling.
The dirty 30s.
The dirty 30s.
And the 20s, there's a lot of ignorance in those years. And I think we have more in common, all of us, than we realize, of insecurities and questioning ourselves and not quite sure what, you know, who we are, what we're about, and we're, as we grow and we age, and hopefully gracefully in that we can learn from our past. It's the definition of wisdom. It's the application of knowledge, right? And so we gain that experience, and sometimes as we age, our brains start to fail us, so we forget a lot of things. So maybe we forget some of that knowledge that we actually had. But I think at this point, in this juncture, you also realize, man, you're not as uppity, you're not as intense, and so just anxious about things, and also you realize there's also a little bit more of I don't know, the time is kind of knocking on your door a little bit more. You're more aware of your mortality, and to put your focus and energy into the things that you know bring you that pure joy, and what are the things that matter most. What's going to bring me longest term happiness with the time that I do have left.
Yeah.
And so I think you start to focus on, I want to spend more time with my wife, with my children. I want to make the excuses and turn this opportunity down so I can be with them on this other opportunity, because that is so much more meaningful. And so your priorities are start to come a lot more clear in what you want out of the rest of your life.
I was listening to a speech once by someone from a company I worked at, and she talked about how we all juggle. Every day we juggle, but we juggle, and I don't know where she got this from, we juggle bouncy balls and we juggle glass balls. And sometimes a ball has to drop because you can't juggle everything. And if it's a bouncy ball, it will bounce right back up. You'll get to it later. But if it's a glass ball and you drop it, you don't get it back. So and I remember I heard that when I was in my 20s, and then when I was in my 30s, my glass balls and the rubber balls changed. So it's those glass balls for me that are, my family, my cousin's kids, spending time with people I love. And those rubber balls are things like an event that maybe there will be another one you can go to and things like that. So I've always thought about that imagery, because if that glass ball hits the ground, you don't get it back.
Oh, that's good.
But that rubber ball will bounce right back up and you can catch it later.
That's good. That's really good. I think I've learned more in the last even 5 years to say no more than I did ever before.
Oh,
Same.
Gosh, I don't know.
On my end, I always say yes, maybe people
We try
pleaser.
to do it all.
Yeah, I was going to say, as
squeeze
a
it all in.
recovering people pleaser, I'm putting recovery in front of it, being frank as can be. As a recovering people pleaser, saying no is one of those things that I didn't realize till you got older that was okay. Like, obviously, certain things, when it comes to what people expect of you in certain areas. If you don't want to go to something, or if you're simply just not capable of doing something, it's okay to say no. Because I would say, I'm still working on this, I would say yes, run myself ragged. And that is not something that I even thought was okay not to do when I was younger.
To accept that it's okay to fail. And I think as I get older, at least to speak for myself, I want to focus a little bit more on something. If I know I have a task at hand, I want to do my best, no question. But if it doesn't turn out the way I want, to not lose as much sleep as I did. I still do, right? Because you want to do well, but I also kind of the water off the back. Like it's okay. This too shall pass.
Yeah, yeah. I think that I prioritize now more than I would have in my 20s. You realize, like you were saying, Elora, like your priorities and what means the most to you, and spending time, and whatever that is to you. Everyone has their own idea of what's valuable to yourself. But I lost my mom last year, and I kept thinking in this whole time, I don't honestly remember one gift. And she gave me a lot of things. She gave me a lot of my mom was awesome. She gave me a lot of fun things over the years. But I don't remember one gift. It's the time.
Yeah.
So
I think that's
a great
beautiful.
reminder. I was with, I spent a lot of time recently when we had the Silicon Slopes event in Salt Lake. I was there hosting a bunch of gatherings and whatnot. And I was talking to a lot of really powerful people that have influence. Paul Ahlstrom is a guy that the state of Utah has, as a few people there had put it, Utah was built on the backs of his shoulders. So just as far as,
that's
I was
intense.
Like, that is, wow, is that on your business card? Holy Hannah. But honestly, like the growth, the development, the success on paper for business success, and it's impressive. He came down to our organization, Tribe House, a while ago, just recently, and he spoke about his industry experience. What I loved, because he's now an older gentleman, he's got grandkids and all this stuff going in his life. He opened up with his vulnerability and said, I was a jerk when I was younger, when I was in those 20s, when I was newly in business. I had no patience with people. I was a hard guy to get along with. He started owning all these things that he had done. Now where he's at, what he's learned from that. One thing I took away, and I shared this with a few guys that were there from different companies. He said, one thing I always did, and this is a big must, I'm talking to all you guys, whenever my wife called me, I take that call regardless. If I'm in a keynote, if she calls right now, I'm taking that call, if I can. Because I know I've learned when I give the time where it's the most important, when I can't now make that birthday party, when I can't make that family event because of circumstance of what we're dealing with business, things are evened out. I'm giving the time as much as I possibly can where it counts so we can do the sacrifice. And I shared that with these other guys, and they were like, thank you for that reminder. I needed to hear that today. I think we we get caught up in the mundane things of life, the things we kind of have to do. We forget what's the most important. And when you talk about your mom, just reminded me of that comment, like spend the time while you have it with the people that matter most.
Yep. Yep. That's the one thing that having a great loss experience recently, that's the one thing that keeps sticking out to me, are the birthday parties, the trips, the dinners. And it doesn't have to be anything extravagant, but, just going to lunch or just, stopping by, just it's the time. And I think as we get older, we realize that everybody you see is fighting a battle that you don't know about.
Oh my gosh.
So I think you're a lot more calm. I mean, everybody gets in traffic and, we all get a little
I lived my life in a height of anxiety. So calm is not something I feel often, but I get where you're going with this.
You're a lot more understanding of maybe why someone reacted this way or why somebody, you get how hard life really is because you've been through it, and so you're a little bit more patient and understanding and kind, I would say, to other people.
I think as as you get older, you go through more experiences and then you realize everything else people are going through. I believe it is Brene Brown who has a quote, and this isn't word for word, but it's something like, as you get older, you find that every single person on this planet has at least one story that would bring you to your knees. Mm-hmm. Every single person. And that is not something that I really thought about until I got a little older. And I'm still learning that. No one goes through life unscathed. No one goes through life without emotional scars. And you just, what you know about someone, if you drew a circle, what you know about someone is this tiny little dot in the middle, and what you don't know makes up the rest of it.
It's true.
I remember feeling really completely, kind of, maybe it's a 20s thing, right? We're talking about it. Maybe just I can do anything. It's you're infallible.
My dad calls it Superman syndrome.
Yeah,
totally.
Even when I got sick and started with my symptoms of multiple sclerosis, and I started down that path of starting to lose my legs, to lose my eyesight, to lose my hands, to now all of a sudden be in a wheelchair and I can't move from the chest down. Mm-hmm. Even during that decline, I still felt invincible. I'm fine, stubborn. I'm good. And I wouldn't take pictures. Finally to be broken so far, it sounds crazy, is probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because it gives you a fresh perspective when you realize I know what I can't do anymore. And still today, having MS still, but I know what I can do. And those things mean that much more to me. And it opens my eyes to when I'm in a wheelchair and I go up to a door and people just walk all over you. They just ignore you. I race to doors now just to get it for people with a cane or tripping something, because you start to see the world. It's like when you buy a car, you start to see that car everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have a challenge.
What is it? The slug bug effect?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
when you have a challenge,
not what it's actually
you
called,
start to see other people.
Yes.
I think, and that's a great place to be. It's a great place to live. As hard as it is, it brings a lot more joy and a richer, more full life. By being able to just know we're in the same lifeboat together. We all have different degrees of challenge and intensity, and whether it's cancer, whether it's MS, whether it's addiction, financial problems, depression, anxiety, we're all living life hard. And I know if I turn around the corner, like you said, the cards that I've been dealt, whatever they are, as poor as this hand might be, I'm not going to switch this deck of cards with anybody else's, because I think this was really hand delivered for me. And if I can really play this out, I can choose to be bitter or I can be better through this. You
are like the definition of that, David.
Well, I don't say that to complain. No, I don't put myself on a pedestal. I say it to celebrate life, because time is flying by.
It is.
Let's enjoy the ride.
Yeah. And it's not to say, as we're talking about this and all the things that we've learned as we're growing older, it's not to say I didn't enjoy being young.
Oh yeah, there were some fun times.
But
it was fun.
There are
great
things.
Memories.
Yeah.
There are things that I went through when I was younger that I'm kind of sad that my kids, I don't think, will experience. My kids will never know what it is like to not have a screen available.
Life without the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they will never know that.
That's the biggest one for me too.
They will never know. Do you remember? And I'm a little younger than you guys, but I know you guys. Did you play night games?
Oh yeah, Ghosts in the Graveyard.
You didn't
capture the flag.
Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah.
Yeah, you went inside when your mom was on the porch and was like, "Hey, time to come in." It wasn't like phones, and then you knew it was late when it was dark. And there are those things that I remember being a kid and those memories of like growing up, and that I'm kind of sad that I don't think my kids will experience it quite like that. And I mean, you guys have kids, so what have you noticed?
You know, the phone thing is tough. I'm not going to lie. I am not perfect. And of course, for our job, we're always posting and we're always doing things. And so there have been a couple times when my daughter, my 6-year-old, will look at me and she'll go, "Hey, Mom, will you get off your phone? Will you play with me?"
Oof.
You know, and that just, I get emotional. It's hard.
Man.
So it's something that I think if we are examples, it's easier for them to not to want to be on screens and phones. Emilia does not have a phone. Don't get me wrong. She's not going to have one for a very long time. A very long time.
Soon you'll say, hey, to your son or daughter, "Hey, can you put the phone down? I'd like to talk to you." And maybe they won't.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's a good reminder to me when you say that.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
It's technology.
We're more connected nowadays than ever, and we're more disconnected.
Oh, yeah. The world is so small now, but yet it's so big.
Yeah.
Because like emotionally connecting to someone can be very, very difficult. But I can send a hey to someone who, like, I have a couple of friends who live in the UK that I met from when I worked there, and I can message them instantly. The world is so small, and I love being able to do that. The people I maybe see every day, because we're talking on Instagram, maybe that connection or whatever platform.
Yeah.
It's harder to do.
You know, interesting. One thing I learned, I think, now at this age and with my kids, I realized how young my parents were raising me. They were kids. You know, I'm one of 8 boys. Sure, maybe they got started earlier, but my dad was in his mid-20s when he got married and then started having kids. You know, after that, still by the time, you know, he was 30 when I was born. I'm in the middle of the family, and I remember being 30 and thinking, my dad was right here. Like, this is crazy. And now I'm well past that. It's like, well, I remember being at my dad's 40th birthday. This is how he felt. Oh my gosh. It's
a weird phenomenon.
I that imposter syndrome? Like, is that me? Or do we all feel that? Like, I don't think I have it all together.
Yeah.
I feel like he always did. You know, we always we think everybody has it perfect. But I think if we just accept it, no, we're all learning. We're all just growing every single day. And if we just try to keep improving ourselves, that's
all you can do.
Put yourself, it's like the game of golf. You're only playing against yourself. Just realize we're on the same course, though. Like, we're all just learning this game together, right?
Yeah.
Of life.
I think that's honestly like a universal lesson that I feel like we have to learn again and again, whether we are in our teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I feel like there's always a time where every human thinks, am I the only one that doesn't have it together? And I feel like that's like
Nobody
increased.
does. No, but we're all just faking it until we make
like
it.
tenfold because of social media. So no matter what age, that is a lesson that we go through, and we have to remind ourselves. Because, you know, when you're in junior high and you're like, oh, am I the only one who doesn't maybe, you know, have a cell phone? And then you get into high school and you're like, am I the only one that... I don't know. I'm thinking of something random. Still has acne. I'm making this up. And then when you're in college, you're like, am I the only one who doesn't have their major figured out? It's something we go through our whole life. Yeah. And the important thing is, like you said, we have to remember no one has it all together.
And if you do, the day or the hour, the minute you think you do, it's going to change the next minute.
That is why I just live in a state of going, man, I really don't have it together. So there are no surprises.
You know, it's good we have each other in this, and relationships and having the people you can rely on. It makes the journey so much easier and worthwhile. In fact, there was a study, and for the success in life, there's a study that's still ongoing. You can look this up. It's pretty awesome. On JFK and his graduating class from Harvard. They studied every single person in that graduating class, and they're still studying them and their kids.
Oh,
study their kids.
Interesting.
They're studying. Okay, let's study everything about their lives. What is it about their lives? What are they doing that brings happiness, joy, success? What is the secret to their success? You think, oh, it's how they run a company. It's, you know, how much money they had and where they lived and what opportunities they had. It was none of that. What they've come down to at this point, and they said the best thing of the secret to their success, and still ongoing that we find, is friendship. It's the friendships and the relationships that they've had throughout their whole lives, that have given them the opportunities, that have made it to go where they live, that have opened up doors, and as they maintain these connections and these relationships. So I think through our challenges, through our lives, if we keep, finding our people that you can love and you can trust and you can want to experience this crazy world with.
That's the goal right there.
It is.
That's I think what I've learned more in these last four years.
Honestly, I feel like as I've gotten older, it's a little harder to make friends unless I'm a weirdo. But the ones that I do have are so important to me, especially my relationships with family. And speaking of relationships, one of the, I'm just gonna toot Kari's own horn for her in a minute. If we get invited to events, that's just part of the job. Sometimes if my cousin's boys need me or something, I know that when I text Kari, she immediately understands. She's not one of those people that's like, well, fine, I guess you're not going. If I have a family thing, Kari immediately, the first thing she says every time without fail is, well, family first, obviously.
Yeah.
So having Kari in my corner, someone who constantly reminds me of the important relationships and understands what they are, helps me remember, oh my gosh, this is what a good relationship is, and these are the relationships we all need to focus on.
Oh, I'm going to cry again. It's the third time on this podcast. That's really nice. Thank you.
So it's very it was a couple of weeks ago, you invited me to go to Lagoon, and I was like, you know what? I missed my nephew, my cousin's kids. I'm like, I missed my nephew's game, so I need to take him to get a donut. And I took him to get a donut, and afterwards I was just going to drop him off, and they call me Lo because growing up they couldn't say Laura. He was like, Lo, but aren't you going to come in and play with me? And I was like, Kari, I'm sorry, I can't make it. And nothing, it was simple as, well, family first. It wasn't even a big deal. And having those types of people in your life is so important.
That can honor that and that can appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're the same way, and I know David is too. Family first. Your family is, all of us, our family is so important to us.
Yeah, it's just, and some people, have different family relationships. Things are different. But finding those people in your life that are important to you, that's one of the best things about getting older.
I think that's come with age, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
To bring it back to our topic is that I think we start to appreciate as you get older, and hopefully we do. And we all need reminders, certainly like your daughter gave to you on the phone. I need those all the time as well. Just a little nudge reminder. I think age is that nudge. It keeps reminding you, hey, just remember, no one's getting out of here alive.
It's so true. It's so true. And our kids, especially for our kids, I read this quote the other day that changed a lot of my mindset. It may be just a moment to you when they're asking you for something or asking you to do something, but it's their childhood to them.
Yeah.
So it's hard though some days to when you're tired and you just want to lay down, you just want to nap, and kids want to play, but you don't ever get those moments back.
We were in a conversation last night around the dinner table, and my daughter was sharing the story of one of the kids in her class whose dad just died, and she said, "Dad, he's your age."
Oh my gosh! I'm gonna start crying.
It's life, right? It's the real thing, but it's fragile, and it's fleeting, and so it's good to have the people around us that help us remind each other to kind of carpe diem, seize each moment, take the time to do what is most important, and be around the people that are most important to you.
Yeah.
So
ooh,
that's, man, we went heavy today. That wasn't expected.
We do a lot of fun stuff. But I think it's important once in a while to keep it real and be open and honest and vulnerable, because you know what? Life is short.
And it is a privilege.
It is what you make it.
It is a privilege to get older every year.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess we're out of time, you guys.
Hey, speaking of time, my goodness.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening and joining us in this conversation. I hope it meant something to you.
We appreciate you guys. And yes, thank you for listening. living and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.